The sound coming.
We can start, Jaya.
It's Siddhi.
I'll begin. Hello and a very good evening to all. We welcome you to a fresh edition of Her World Talk Show in collaboration with Policy Center and Gender Lab, Miranda House. We have had in the past editions among us bright minds, men and women, to talk about social issues that are prevalent in our society today and to motivate us all. Our esteemed guest for the evening, Mr. G. Ramesh, is a joint secretary at NDMA, a very prestigious institute of our country. He is a 1985 Punjab cadre IAS officer who studied from IIT Madras. He will today motivate our young viewers on how to achieve our goals and create a meaningful life and career. We welcome you, sir. Now,
Thank you.
I would like to hand over the podium to Rakhi Bakshi ma'am, who is the editor-in-chief and the founder of Her World. Her World is a rising web portal that not only lends visibility to gender issue, but focuses on areas of diverse contemporary importance as well. Rakhi ma'am is extremely passionate about gender issues and will be moderating today's show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddhi, and that was a very kind introduction. I am really truly delighted on behalf of Her World. I welcome you all who are participating. Also, people who have always been supporting us, lending us their feedback. Also to Policy Center, Gender Lab, Miranda House, who's always been guiding us to take this show ahead. We also have a portal, as announced, where we are trying to get in voices and writings and all kinds of opinions and features to get attention on not only gender issues, which are very important and dear to us and close to us, but also social and relevant and contemporary issues that are around us. So the whole idea is to look at society, its transition, its forward-looking pattern, and what can we do through Her World. So Her World India is also available on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We are trying to create a digital engagement with a lot of people, especially young minds. And that's why on our show, each time we have tried to bring you narratives, experiences, and stories from people, both men and women. Of course, the idea is to bring in more women at the forefront, but also men who think about society and bring about that sensitivity also to talk about gender issues. We recently had an edition where we talked about gender and science, and which was really, attended by a whole lot of people. So today I welcome G. Ramesh, somebody who comes with vast experience and knowledge, somebody who is going to motivate us because he got into civil services after studying from IIT Madras, but also somebody who had his own views on life. But since he also is working with NDMA, a very premier institution as recognized, also in the pandemic, the nodal authority, National Disaster Management Authority, as it is known, we would like to really not only welcome him, but also would like to understand and hear from him as to what it is like. So, Mr. G. Ramesh, I thank you for the time that you've given to us, and you come at a critical time, Mr. Ramesh, when we are dealing with pandemic. We thought that the worst will be over, but now with the new strain coming in from the UK, we think that it's really going on. What would you say?
Yeah, thank you, Raki. In fact, basically, I feel that it's a challenge. It's a continuing kind of a challenge in this time. And I believe that, in fact, we will tackle this one also. Nothing to worry much. In fact, the whole thing is geared up and all that. And in fact, the different strain means different kind of a reaction, all that, different kind of a treatment, different kind of a the protocols and all those things. It's only protocol that really matters for that matter. The poor comes from the UK right now, but that's only the place where, in fact, we really are concerned about that. And somebody comes there, in fact, they've been taken into different kind of protocol. I mean, see, the so-called words like isolation, the so-called, in fact, putting them aside and all that, they're not negative words. It's only trying to, in fact, reassure them, saying that in fact, they'll be fine and all, we take care of them. At the same time, whoever is here also, they're taking care of. For me, in fact, I've been there for last 1 year and all that, and since the pandemic has begun. And in fact, I've been traveling all over the India and all that, and I found quite a kind of a thing positiveness from all the people, especially youth and all that. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, they know that in fact it's a big challenge kind of a thing, and they're taking it very positively. I find the flip side is, in fact, no, the other side, the better side. I wouldn't say flip side. In fact, it's given a different kind of a way of interacting with people. You stay at home, and you know what parents are. what your brother is doing, what your sister is doing, what your kids are doing, and of course what your spouse is also doing. In the sense that this is kind of a thing which has come up actually, and people went online kind of a thing. Many things have been like online is a different kind of protocol altogether. I believe, in fact, some kind of a things has been become very things like you have to read online, you need to understand what's happening. As you rightly said, digital kind of interaction, what do you call the connection? What do you say that? In fact, I think pandemic really helped you to get into digitally. And though I personally feel that even still, I believe that no, the hard book is in hard teacher, hard book. Somebody has to be face-to-face interaction. But as you rightly said, in fact, each challenge is a big opportunity. I feel that second phase, also third phase or fourth phase, what do you call that? It will come to an end and very soon, and we can tackle it. That's it.
Okay. What it's been like in terms of people dealing with it? The flip side, as you talked about the challenge, initially when we experienced it coming in, initially it took us some time to, in fact, understand that now we are struck with something which is a crisis situation. Now, I know it for sure because I was privy to that, that how, in fact, the authority, you all also, as people responsible to the right measures, as a country, we took up the challenge and we created, let's say we also had lockdown, and after that we had these protocols as you talked about, wearing a mask, to social distancing, to these norms of sanitizing, but we saw people, finally it really struck us how grave it was. We saw people going away, we saw near and dear ones also going away. I mean, what would you say about this whole challenge which we faced, both psychologically and medically?
Yeah. I mean, Raki, I personally feel, in fact, I shouldn't say this thing, but at the same time, I can say it also. The all law of nature, in fact, prevails, whether you have a COVID or not. I mean, it's a simple philosophical question. Actually, somebody comes to live here, and there's a day when has to go back and all that. It happens actually. The only thing is that because of COVID, for example, in fact, the fear factor has become more actually. In fact, we have been trying to handle right from the beginning, at least trying to assure the people that it's one of the things actually where precautions should be taken. I mean, we're just saying that in fact, this is another kind of disease. I mean, after all, there's a heart attack. There is something else, the lung failure, heart attack, everything was there actually. Before the COVID also, things were actually happening. But with this COVID, there's different kind of a protocol, different kind of reaction for that matter. My own feeling is that, in fact, the people were really, they went into a panic kind of a thing. So that panic, to understand the panic, actually, for us also, nobody, in fact, in the government, we did not understand actually how to actually go about it to begin with. We didn't have an experience. But however, in fact, having learned from the what's happening elsewhere and all that, we quickly adopted actually the so-called the protocol of what the first thing is, that is the lockdown. And in fact, the lockdown is one thing which nobody ever saw, that actually for so many days we have Bharat Bandh, we have Bandhs and all that, the roads become empty. So, but at the same time, that also given some kind of a caution, some kind of the kind of a reassurance to the people that we can tackle it. So people going away, in fact, I mean, it's a biggest kind of a concern actually how the people are going away. There are people, in fact, who went because of some kind of a emergency because of COVID and all that. But however, in fact, the first and foremost to be talked to is a doctor who's actually dealing with them. And they're the angels, I would say. They're the angels, in fact, who took care of all the people actually for the last 9 months or 10 months and whatnot. I mean, really salute them, all the people, men, women, who are maybe, in fact, the ground level workers, in fact, they did a wonderful job. And in fact, we can see from the race, their own lives are very important in all that. So with that kind of the kind of experience we have, yes, it happened actually. At the same time, I would say things would have been much more worse, in fact, in case we not observed certain protocols. That's all I can say.
Yeah, sure. I think so. I mean, and you rightly said, our frontline workers, in fact, in one of our editions, we had two very senior, female medical professionals, and the kind of courage they displayed and the kind of things they talked about is something that we all learned from. And so many of them, whether they were paramedic, nurses, staff, the COVID hospitals, at work, all that really we cannot really, really compensate for the kind of work that they've done. So we are very thankful to them. But talk about it, something which is now has created optimism, so to say, or hope in the new year, as we are talking about vaccine coming in. So also talk about this whole joy of looking at something which can bring a little smile.
Yeah, the first is very happy new year to all of you. After all, it's a January. Still, entire January, you always have that new resolutions and all that. The first resolution should be get out of the fear complex. I mean, you can do something, and it's a wonderful year. In fact, this 2021. So having said that and all that, what I feel that the best and the happiest news is that now I would say officially there's a vaccine right now. Vaccine is going to in fact roll out and all that, then all the people will get the vaccine. But at the same time, I believe the best vaccine is yourself only. The best vaccine, nothing beats you. In fact, you are the hero and heroine. In fact, the moment you stand before the mirror, and you are the person in fact who should be adored. Actually, that's where it begins. Actually, I would say the confidence begins from your level. So if you have that kind of confidence within yourself, half the vaccine is already inside you. And the rest, in fact, will definitely come and all that. It will roll out. It will take care of. But one thing is that, as you said rightly in the beginning, as I really said also the same thing, that the frontline workers, in fact, they should be taken care of. They're very precious lives and all that. They should be taken care of. They are there for you. They stood, in fact, when there's no vaccine, they're going to stand with you when the vaccine right now. So it's all good thing. Just you have to get out of the this COVID kind of a thing to other spheres of the life and all that. What are the career you have? What are the studies you have? What are the options you have? What are the hobbies you have? And what are the interactions you develop because of COVID? But due to COVID, there's so many positive interactions and all that. You develop on that. I think life will be beautiful. I'm sure about that.
Yeah, so taking a cue from what you've said, and I mean, my word would be resilience. I mean, this resilience is one word that I really empathy is another word that I really understood. I mean, as you rightly said, staying at home told us how to mix with our own family members, which we maybe could not meet earlier, talk so much to. So trying to say, as in Hindi, they say "apada mein avsar." So opportunity in the time of crisis. So how we try to reinvent ourselves. Some of us, try to modify our jobs. For example, so many of us are right now on digital platforms. We created those engagements which were unique. We shifted from one mode of job to another, maybe so many of us. We tried to really actually engage ourselves much better positively with whatever was coming, despite all the challenge. So I think that was resilience of our people, isn't it, Ramesh?
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's correct word.
Yeah, and empathy, because you remember sometimes we talked as to how we need to help a lot of people. Some of us went out. Remember one lady, who we know how she reached out. In fact, initially only during the lockdown, Bharti, and how she, went out and reached out to people for food. And so many of other people who became Corona warriors, who distributed food, and somebody who we know, for example, Amanpreet, who's distributed a lot of sanitary napkins. So many of such examples of people who really stood out. And that is the message for young people, I'm sure, Ramesh, today that you'd like to give us, is that how to, make yourself, shape yourself in a way where you only not look at all the cozy, cushioned kind of life, but how you take on challenges and reinvent yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you,
That's true.
would you
That's right.
say something on that?
I mean, this is quite a positive kind of talk and all that. It's a good thing. And in fact, I would like to say one more thing extra that, in fact, this is you must do walk the talk, and all the people, in fact, who really practiced, had this kind of experience for the last 1 year. In fact, the moment you come out of the crisis, in fact, people become complacent. Or you people become a different kind of world, and okay, that's having past only. Now, right now, we'll find something else. In fact, there are a lot of lessons learned. In fact, like for example, youth must be knowing that now the case study method is one of the most wonderful method of teaching. What are the course that may be, in fact, be it a science, be it a non-science and all that. So this is like a case study. The COVID is from the case study. There are wonderful, in fact, examples from the case study, how India, in fact, as a whole, in fact, would deal with that, how it came out of that. In fact, right now, if you can see the crowd and all how the people are, in fact, able to manage their affairs and all that. I personally felt, in fact, I have met a very wonderful people during my official visits also. When I've been going through India, as for the flood assessment, damage assessment, and things like that. In fact, I've seen wonderful officers. I would say, in fact, I would like to base it on record here also. I had been to Maharashtra. There's an officer in one of the divisions there, like it's called Brahmapuri. There's one lady officer. She was, you were talking about lady, in fact, this one pregnant lady was lifted actually in the middle of the night also when the things were really drastic, not only COVID, but also the flood and all that. In spite of the fact that, in fact, the forces are limited actually, and she could take care of that. In fact, it's like Raki is learning from the people. Like, in fact, I'm very happy to get in touch with you. This is the first time, in fact, I'm getting in touch with this kind of interaction. But as I said, learning will never stop. Learning from the small child can be, in fact, the biggest kind of asset for us. And that's what I feel, that there's a hope and tremendous hope. And as you rightly said, empathy is there actually. Please cash on empathy right now. Please try to understand what is empathy and all that. And the empathy should continue even after COVID. The passion should continue even after the COVID. The challenge should continue even after COVID. There are many challenges for the youth, many challenges for us actually. because COVID has taught us how to, in fact, tackle the challenge. I'm sure, in fact, the entire people who are interacting right now, even in the future also, they'll become brand ambassadors for tackling any kind of a problem.
And I also remember, I must salute also something which you're not saying, but I must also say it for the benefit of our viewers, that, I know officers like you, kept going to office every day. So many of you went to office because you had to create those guidelines, you to work on those, responsible methods of how to deal with situations, which sometimes doesn't get talked about. So what NDMA was doing, maybe not everyone knew exactly, but, all those things that you saw in terms of the protocols coming in, it was designed. And the guidelines were made by NDMA, and we really owe it to the institution actually, which is only.
In fact, one thing,
but also really worked on it day and night.
Yeah. In fact, one thing I would like to officially mention also, Rakhi, here is that we have that one of the psychosocial care, one section is there in the NDMA, which comes in education division actually. In fact, there's a psychosocial care. We have a online kind of a thing. We have set up counselors throughout India actually. Helpline. If somebody goes to the website of the NDMA, you can find what is the helpline actually. I mean, I'm sure they have done a wonderful work in counseling and all that, in giving assurance also. I just division recently again once in, then I took care of the meeting also. In fact, I really appreciate the lady and over there. They've done a wonderful work. They'll continue to do actually. I'm sure, in fact, in the future, some of the future interaction, you can always, I'll interact with her also. She'll be able to provide that kind of help to you. I mean, the kind of the positive interaction, what really happened.
Since you're showing so much of concern, passion, and understanding, I would like to maybe put it here that, one of the articles we did, and a lot of articles came about, which talked about how women,
I went,
during
I
this
did
situation,
interact many people in the field. Yes.
No, I mean, especially women, because sometimes they felt double the pressure. They were not only working at home, from home, but they were also, sometimes feeling suppressed because a lot of time was being spent at home. So we like to look at children, young people, especially women also, because we work with lots of them, and some of them, I can tell you, talk to me, and it became like a method where they wanted to vent out as to what was happening, and there was no pattern to it as to which class, which place they came from. So many of them felt this. So I'm sure this counseling part that you're talking about should be really taken ahead. There are a lot of women like to share, exchange ideas, show what's there inside them which they have not been able to talk about, and that would help. Because one of the things, Mr. Ramesh, we've been talking about, and we also had Subrata Prakash from Niti Aayog, who's talked a lot about mental health, is that some of the cases about mental health also came up, as we saw, because some of us deal with situations, some of us are maybe not that equipped, isn't it?
That's true.
So I guess this is one of the suggestions, though we are learning from you and getting insights from you, is to really look at this aspect also. I mean, I have talked about this earlier, that how we should have a gender lens to any disaster that happens, and because then we can reach out to a, as we say, we can come to a 360-degree kind of circle, and we can look at holistically at problems, isn't it? But talking about how socially also, apart from technically, as an institution, as authority that you went about, tell us more about how to look optimistically at life.
Life itself is a big opportunity for you to, in fact, to prove yourself. I would say, in fact, I'm not a philosopher kind of, but having traveled all along this, I would say lifetime kind of experiences, meeting people, I feel it provides an opportunity for that matter, and it provides an opportunity. Only thing, you have to be very sincere in what you want to pursue. I would say one thing, for example, when I was a kid, my father used to say there's so much of competition. I don't know how exactly. In my time, there's no competition. In your time, there's so much of competition. How would you tackle that? In fact, I would say the competition factor is a constant, actually. I mean, prove yourself and all that. In fact, the only thing the youth of this time has got number of opportunities and all that. It's not a straight bracket kind of thing. Like, for example, in our time, if one becomes a doctor, other becomes engineer, and really somebody becomes an architect. So, but right now it's a myriad of opportunities and all that. People can do, even somebody can cook and all that. Somebody can be master chef also. You can see the Star World, the kind of a series and all that, and master chef. I mean, there's a wonderful opportunity. I mean,
What has happened? Ray? We lost his audio. You can go on otherwise. Hello? Hello. Hello.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. Maybe there was some
Yeah.
people, huh?
I'm
Go on.
saying the same thing. That fact, the kind of a, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But you were saying, yeah, for example, Master Chef, basically the online opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, somebody can become an artist also. I mean, it's not a small thing. I mean, anything. In fact, now the only thing, my only feelings, and quote unquote, the passion should be there. And what do you do? In fact, whatever you can anything and all that. Remember, the passion should be important. Likely, that's where the quality. In fact, for example, right now you go to the market and you would like to. You have number earlier you used to get a scooter like Vespa and all that. You used to wait for 6 7 months and all that a year also. But you get so confused right now when you go to the market. You have so many things. What does it mean? It means that you need to have the passion to develop something. And I say if you have your 10 things and there are 10
Yeah.
cars that people have to have. In fact, the so-called passion in design and innovation, it's a continuous process. Innovation will never stop.
Hmm.
But there will be the other things also. And the youth, in fact, this particular generation, in fact, they're very responsible also. They know actually, thanks to internet, they know what kind of current issues are there. The climate change. I mean, the tremendous kind of a thing, the effect of climate change you have seen in the last 1 year, what kind of things are happening all over India. So the youth can respond. Actually, youth become the one-day volunteers. They can be ambassadors. Actually, they can raise so many causes and all that. And the so-called they can approach anyone through online. The so-called WhatsApp. I would say WhatsApp is one of the wonderful things. I mean, I would say, in fact, to many people, technology should be under you, not other way around. You have to be on the top. You have to be hero and heroine and all that. And the technology should be under you. You should use the technology, but technology should not use you. That's the only caution, in fact, I would like to give to youth. And you become a master. You're always master. I'm sure, in fact, the world is open for them. And
So let me present you the other side here for the time being is that you're talking about the benefits of being digital or going online. But I mean, I can tell you that a lot of students who are taking online classes, it is nice, but at the same time, at times we see both parents and students also taking on a lot of stress. How to handle
yeah,
technology, how to really deal with it, apart from the pressures of appearing, let's say, for exams.
yeah.
How would you like to motivate them?
My feeling is that, in fact, when somebody goes through online class and all that, now online class doesn't mean that, in fact, you just take off all your books from the shelf. No, the books are always there actually. The only thing, the reading method and understanding method is different. In the teaching machine should be different. In fact, online thing, once upon a time when, in fact, offline classes were, direct classes were there, there's an online lectures also. But during that, what really happens is that, in fact, it's a straight off jacket kind of a thing. You need to present directly, you need to interact and all that. But I'm sure, in fact, if you've seen some of the online kind of classes, some classes they have to learn something. Interaction should be different. It's a little psychological aspect also. Nobody can sit there in front of the computer for a long time. So what we need to, in fact, inspire them is that have the online classes also, online interaction at the same time. There should be hard book in your lab, right in your lab. You need to understand how to go through about it actually. In fact, this is a different way of learning, in fact. And I would say to thirdly, in fact, that there should be some counseling also of the people, not on the topic on how to, in fact, to read the book actually. The book, I'm sure, in fact, the book is never, it's most important right now in the offline kind of a, online kind of business for that matter. And that, periodic counseling actually, now that since the COVID has already, we're just coming out of the COVID situation, I would say, in fact, now may not be continuous classes and all of the different state governments are opening classes right now. But at the same time, if in case the classes do not start actually, I mean, the school concerned and all, who had maybe the education institution, they must, in fact, have a once in a while interaction with people, physical interaction. I mean, that has to be a must actually. We have to start very soon, physical interaction. May not be teaching actually. You can tell actually how exactly, what the way over it, what is the potential way of going through that actually. And very soon we're going to have a real classes also. But, this, gearing up the online books and the interaction, physical interaction, this will go in a long way.
Okay, sure. How would you also tell students, especially people who are going for exams, and we all are students, I must say, it's not that we can segregate there. We are all learning all the time from life, but some of the students who still have to look at a career, and since you have, had that journey of a career path, studying from IIT and then getting into IS and then still working toward the goals that you do right now in your current job, how would you really motivate some of the young minds as to how they should gear up? For example, at times we keep hearing, even from young people, oh, I don't feel like doing this, I'm feeling low. How do I really feel positive? How do I attend to my class? What kind of career should I look at? I'm confused. How do I
Yeah.
create more strength inside me? Things like that.
Mm.
How do we, because there are a lot of distractions also in a way, though digital platform is good, there is social
Yeah.
media, there are more avenues, there are malls coming up, there are a whole lot of things. Sometimes a young mind really needs to focus, how to focus and really find your goal.
I mean, I would say, in fact, focusing comes from the meditation for the matter. It's very difficult. It's a difficult word for the young people to meditate for that matter. It's one of the most proven kind of a thing actually to meditate even for a few minutes for the matter. To begin with, they must learn how to meditate for the matter. Very few minutes, in fact, to understand actually what is there inside. Second thing, in fact, as for to understand what is they should have a little inventory of what exactly they're capable of doing, what they have been doing for that matter. Even the parents matter have the responsibility to do a little kind of a understanding actually what the person is up to. So then you peer, a lot of friends are there. Actually, the friends can be used actually to understand actually the feedback. What can you become a painter, or can you become an engineer? Can you become a doctor? Can you become an accountant? Can you become something else? I mean, that kind of thing. Actually, they understand. In fact, the best kind of feedback comes from the friends and all that. Having got the feedback and all this thing, they need to have the proper kind of a understand very clearly which kind of institution is there. I would say, in fact, getting into IITs, getting into IAS and all that, now it's okay. But there's, when you see in the newspaper, I mean, this is the topper, that is the topper, this is the 10th ranker, that's the ranker and all that. The moment you can see there are lot many stories actually where people will not get through. Nobody writes about them. But I would say world is very beautiful with them also. In fact, the world will be much more beautiful had they gone into the service or had they gone to IITs. IIT is one instrument of inspiration. It doesn't mean that everything is only IIT, everything is not IAS actually. So each career is very important. And you need to, in fact, respect yourself. The moment you respect yourself and respect the kind of profession you're choosing, the career you're choosing, and the desire to learn actually, the desire to learn should be a continuous process. We should learn from each other, and the desire to, in fact, improve your career also should be the continuous process. And the most important thing is that in this digital age and all that, this information age for that matter, you have so many information, so many books and all that, so many things. Please limit yourself into what are your table, the typical table and all that. What are the accommodation type books and all that? Only those books are allowed for you to go compete for examination. We don't have to require anything actually. So get the core kind of a books actually. For example, somebody wants to get into some medicine, somebody wants to get engineering actually. Even today, in fact, people can tell you what books are really important. The books, in fact, don't get distraction all that. Concentrate on that. Concentrate on that. And second thing, as you rightly said, distractions are, in fact, and that is one of the drawback of this generation. And distraction, the same thing, the power is within the distraction only. You can know how to distract yourself towards your goal only. I mean, as I told in the beginning, the technology should be under you, not other way around. The moment you're on the top and all that, you understand, you feel that the so-called YouTube, the so-called WhatsApp, the so-called anything else, and if it is under your control, wonder you become crazy once in a week, no problem at all. But to depend on the same kind of social media always, it's very, I mean, it's a contagious kind of a thing, and it's a very troublesome also. I think the people realize it actually. There's nothing like, there's no golden rule. In fact, there's nothing like, in fact, somebody gets to the top, like how we got into the sparkling, I mean, the kind of a position. But the fact is that, in fact, now it's like little discipline is required, and you must be a little crazy also. After all, youth is, this age is like that only. You should be a little crazy, but at the same time, but you should be mature enough to understand for your own self. I think they can understand perfectly. But my firm advice is that social media should be careful and should be away from that kind of that so-called intoxicating kind of a desire to get into the social media continuously. It happens. So you have to have a self kind of a thing actually control. I think the person who is responsible, like the person who understands actually what he wants to become, and he or she for that matter, they know actually how to limit actually. You make one thing.
So there is a word of caution there. Use it, but use it carefully.
1 hour they spend on all that. It's not necessary.
Yeah, so use
Yeah,
it consciously. I mean, as you rightly said, you are the king or the queen, you're the master, but use that wisdom, that knowledge, that power for the best of your, improvement, isn't it? That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes. That's
Okay. Again, a lot of young people would like to know how to really go ahead in terms of finding the right career. I mean, how do they really decide? Sometimes their parents want them to become something. Sometimes they think they are good at it, but how do they
Yeah.
really get that target, that goal into their mind, and what do they need to do? I mean, just some do's and don'ts for
And
those studying from you. I mean,
so sorry.
as you rightly said, and I'd like to repeat, is that you said that work hard, but there's something called smart study. In the sense, you also have your time for your
Yeah.
own leisure, isn't it? So, how to do
Yeah.
smart?
Yeah. No, that depends on the DNA of each person. In fact, you have to be crazy once in a while. I'm not saying you should be totally perfect. No, there should be, the only God is perfect, 10 out of 10. You can't be 10 out of 10. You can't be topper at all. So
Exactly.
just leave behind some space of being crazy kind of a thing, being addictive also for something which you in fact you feel it really crazy. But at the same time, the moment you leave that portion, the moment you want to become completely perfect, I think that's where you're falling into trap. So you need to leave some portion for it, for your own whims and fancies and all that. I mean, quote unquote, in the sense you have to be responsible also. I mean, you want to spend some time on the WhatsApp for 2 3 hours, and you spend it like once in a week, no problem at all. I mean, you don't want to take bath in the morning, don't take one day once in a week, no problem at all. You can take in the evening the bath. There are certain things, in fact, now, but at the same time, that's what the holiday is meant for. That actually, it's once in a week is meant for that. But rest of the days, you'll have to, in fact. And one more thing, sports activities is most important. Actually, physical activities are very, very important. I mean, time, in fact, one has to go and play volleyball there or badminton or something and all that. Now, please go and do that. Actually, it's a physical activity and all that. It's nothing really happening. The body requires that kind of momentum, that kind of movement also, and that brain really feels comfortable and all. So this physical activity starts from the thing, and this media thing and addiction, all that thing, this will get away. Very, if you have that kind of a strict kind of a, the regimen and all that, right from the morning, what you're supposed to do. But as I said, once in a week, you can be crazy yourself.
I'll talk about something else. I will say that, especially in the present time, the last year 2020, which has been full of challenges, the COVID has been right in front. People have tried to deal with it. Especially, I would again come to women, especially also young women. Sometimes, how to deal with failure, how to deal with this whole idea that where am I going? There are dejections. People have, there have been job losses as well. There has been some kind of sometimes this whole idea as to where are we moving, especially for young people, how to really deal with this idea of negativity of failure and saying, oh, how do I go ahead if I'm facing this? I mean, how to deal with failures, for example. What if you've not done so well as you were expected to? Have we lost touch? This is all technology, so we shouldn't bother so much about those glitches. Maybe,
Yeah, there is
yeah,
some
that's
problem.
all. No, I was saying that you have talked about things, but I mean, as I've seen you, and that's why we chose you, because we have a lot of these young girls there, and sometimes when we talk, one talks
Yeah.
about how to deal with failures. I mean, how to really take it inside you and say, no, I still want to go ahead, despite all the challenges I see around. I want to do well. How do we do that?
No, it's like, the desire is a good thing, and but you must always do well. But do well means what actually? What exactly is the definition of being well kind of a thing? The wellness, in fact, starts within you. I said you should feel confident of yourself. I mean, I said it's not necessary to compare with everyone for that matter. Comparison, in fact, that's where, in fact, like for example, it's like what Gautam Buddha said. In fact, there's a sorrow in this world, but desire is the root cause of sorrow, and remove the desire, and the whole thing's clear. So I'm not going to that extent, that extreme kind of a thing. You need to have a desire actually, but the desire should be, in fact, the positive kind of a thing. You should appreciate your own neighbor actually who gets into something like it. There are a lot of things you can learn from the neighbors also. So, like, don't be completely self-centric that you need to be the best and all that. Nobody can be best. I'm saying very clearly, you should not be the best except the God. He is the man actually who will be the best for you, and he knows actually what to get for you. But you should be sincere for yourself, and have that hope within you, have the desire within you. Yes, you want to perform well and do well, and try to do. The process is more important than the result. Actually, that's what I would like to
No,
say.
for example, you said you were traveling, your official visits. Some of us, or when some of them actually, were not even allowed to go out so much or travel. In the previous year. So things that came as a
In this,
surprise
even
to
how
me.
to travel.
No traveling, not really venturing out much, not talking to a lot of people. As
Yeah.
you said, physical interaction.
Yeah, I've been traveling like anything. In fact, I've been constrained to travel also because of my
What?
official obligations for that matter. One thing I had a choice for that matter. In fact, even the COVID time, we had a choice not to travel.
Okay. And you did.
Pardon?
You did actually. You traveled.
What I didn't get. Yeah, I did travel. I traveled very happily. I mean, I'm saying, in fact, I traveled very happily. In fact, Raki would like to say, in fact, this during this travel, I met very wonderful people. I mean, very wonderful people. Actually, I wouldn't have met them actually had I stayed in Delhi only, had I stayed in my office in very cozy kind of way.
Yeah. Never mind. Continue. Yeah. It's technological, maybe some connection. So basically, as we are maybe losing connection in between, I would like to say that being with NDMA, he has Mr. Ramesh has always tried to reach out to people through his official visits, as he's saying, and as he's also saying that we always learn from situations and people, trying to encourage young people by saying you are the best, not really that you to compare always and then think a little dejected or something. Value yourself the most, and then you are the queens and the kings of your own life. But if I can get him again, do I get Mr. Ramesh again back? I think there is some technological snake and Deepak.
Connection problems actually.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Perfectly all right. It happens. And these are the things we are learning, that we don't need to really panic about little things, because a lot of times I hear from my friends, oh, anxiety, oh, I am feeling this, So we have to also be calm, as composed as things are happening. Look at 2020, which has passed. Look at how we're looking at future again, looking at, so many people are working, our scientists are working. We have new research coming up. We have people who are trying to do new things also. So I think there is always a silver lining, and I think coming back to Ramesh, also your institution, which has silently worked, tirelessly worked, and that's where we are, where sometimes you have to take harsh decisions also, but for the benefit of people. I mean, we saw sometimes, how people were told to do this and don't do this. But those were the things that were good for everyone finally. And today we have entered in 2021, where we're learning. We are seeing in other countries, in Europe, we see so many problems. We see a UK which is dealing with problems, and we hear about them. But in India, we are every day trying to also look at how to curb situation. As reports are coming in, we are seeing, I mean, there are all kinds of patterns, so we can't say one thing, but we're also seeing that people are working at lessening our sorrows. Talking about young women, Ramesh, I would like to ask you and tell you also at the same time that they sometimes face a lot of problems when they try to study, they go out, want to work. There are problems which happens to them, and at Policy Center, Gender Lab, or Her World, we really understand that. So, for example, harassment at workplace sometimes, for example, things that happens to them, which is also talks about the mindset sometimes of men. So these are the things which create aberrations for their development and growth. How would you like to really talk about that? The gender sensitivity that we should all have.
Yeah, I think it's been slowly coming into the minds of the, I would say, men and all that, and to respect the colleagues and to understand what's really going through it, because they're equal partners right now. In fact, they're an asset and all that. The moment, in fact, I should say, not equal partner. When you understand a person he or she's an asset for an organization, for whatever it may be, that will give a wonderful kind of a thing, and try to get the best out of that actually. And the rest of the things, in fact, the so-called, the fixed mind, all that, people coming with the biased kind of opinion. Actually, I mean, somebody is not good for the work, somebody not good for this kind of a job. I think these things are slowly getting away and all that. It has proved in this world of IT and all that. But I would say, in fact, as you rightly said, there's a lot of anxiety even now. But anxiety will come down, actually, gradually it will come down. But in fact, they're proving themselves also, all the girls, in fact, I would say personally, in fact, I don't want to, I can't get into the mind of the girl, how they're working in the IT field, actually, but I've seen in my own interaction, because having interacted, having traveled so much and so much and so much and all, in the entire India, I've seen wonderful officers, actually, they're respected a lot. I mean, I've seen, as I told you, in fact, when I went to Maharashtra, in fact, I went to a district called Raigad and all that. There's one Nidhi Chaudhary, she is a district magistrate, and she is quite adored there, actually, the way she worked and all that. There's a building collapse actually happened in the Raigad. And I went for the Konkan kind of a thing also, the Ramesh. And when I went to, in fact, in the near Nagpur, this one Vidarbha district, now there's one lady officer in Brahmapuri, and she worked. In fact, there's one village actually that was completely marooned actually for so many days actually with so much of water. That leadership qualities, in fact, now they give, that kind of awe feeling is there actually. People learn actually. There was a time, Raki, where the people used to feel jealous and all that. It's not a question of jealous right now. I think slowly it's getting away. People learn and all that. At the same time, the girls should get the confidence also. They should not have the view that, that kind of complex. In fact, I mean, this harassment is bound to happen kind of a thing. No, they have to get out that mind actually, and they should become a wonderful asset for the matter. I'm sure, in fact, now, given the situation, in fact, now they want to work hard. I'm sorry to say this, actually, they'll have to work hard to prove, actually, this is the kind of a thing. Because by default, men feel that, in fact, now we can perform better and all that. I would say they need not many offices. In fact, if you see in the any government office, people stay after 6 o'clock. We don't allow any girls to stay after 6 o'clock. I was telling my officers, why should you stay even the men after 6 o'clock? Can't you manage your work before the time limit? You have to. It's not that you have to work hard and things will collapse and all that. So this confidence is there in the women, kind of within the girls, and they are doing it actually. So we need to appreciate that actually. We need to be polite actually. The politeness gets the politeness. And I'm sure, in fact, the hope and all that, the hope is which is being generated right now, and should really should make them, in fact, make the environment quite safe also, quite inspirational also. But having said that, also there are certain things which will happen against them, and we have all the enforcement agencies and all that. We have the number also, the help number and whatnot. Even the people like you are also approachable also. We have that actually, because these kind of elements are there actually. But I'm sorry to say the elements still exist and all that. But in spite of that, I have a hope in the youth. I have hope in the girls. And the only thing is that if you view that girl or who it may be, the person as an asset, I mean, that's a wonderful feeling. I don't say equal partner also, isn't it? That makes the whole thing quite.
You the word partnership. I really like that, and that is what we are saying. And somebody would say that if girls are really, they want to go high up, they want to get, placed everywhere, then why are they looking for support? That's one voice which came even on our show, and I immediately reacted and said that they're just looking for that cooperation and understanding, and not really that you should come out of your way to kind of support. It's just that we all are there, we are trying to do something. We just need that little understanding from you, cooperation from you, where we all work in an atmosphere which is good for all of us to work and grow. So this partnership approach, this support, understanding approach, I would say, is what we are looking at. So there is nothing like we say men versus women. It's like together we make a team and grow together. Is the whole idea.
That's it.
Yeah. So anybody else apart from me also, Sneh, my team, that somebody wants to ask a question since he's here? Siddhi or anybody from my team? Deepak? We have few men in our team, but largely lots of girls and women. So somebody's written something, some question. Sneh, would you like to read it out, or Siddhi, if she's there, or Jaya? Or anyone out of you, Neha, or anyone?
I'll just read out the question. The question is from Priyanka Sharma. Your work has made you an essential service worker serving our country through the pandemic. Was that ever scary to you?
Okay. Has your work scared you ever, Mr. Ramesh?
Yeah, in fact, no. I would like to answer very clearly. I never got any feeling of scariness and all that. In fact, I never found it a problem at all. In fact, to be very frank with all of you and all that, even Raki knew me in fact in the beginning, and that I've been traveling and all that. At no point I felt, in fact, it's a problem for us. At no point for that matter. In fact, I've been telling all my staff also, in fact, everybody for that matter, I told that it's not. But the problem comes, of course, I do exist. I do acknowledge the problem is there. But personally, I did not get affected actually. But I think I gave that kind of leadership to my team and my officers and my people. And I did demonstrate also when I went to the field. I think there are many other problems apart from that. Why only COVID? There are many other problems.
So the answer is not felt scared, and I know it because I have had meetings, and I was always I can say witness to how he was visiting people. But as he's also sharing with us today, there are so many stories with him of leadership of women, of people, how wonderful they were, how they were coping up with situations which are not so favorable. So these are the stories also that I'm sure, Mr. Ramesh, that you have with you today.
Yeah,
Deepak has
that's true.
a question, or Deepak is saying something. There you have a question.
I got it actually how exactly somebody is operating in the from home kind of a thing, right? In fact, as far the NDM is concerned, in fact, we are operating fully in the office right now in the office premises. And thanks to COVID, we did get into the digitalization also. We went to the so-called e-office mode kind of a thing. We are working. And one the best outcome of the COVID is that wherever you're traveling, you can always work office online, like an IT professional and all that. So nothing in that. And right now, currently, in fact, only thing is that if somebody has got some problem kind of a thing, as health kind of a thing, anybody have some kind of a symptoms for that matter, and they are being in fact asked to stay at home. In fact, otherwise, it's almost 100% attendance in the office, and we are working full. And with the people above the age of 60 years, in fact, we advise them. I mean, we have some consultants also above 60 years for that matter. So we ask them to exercise due caution in case you feel something, and because they're maybe so-called, what do you call that? In fact, they're not able to cope up the thing, and also so they've been advised to stay at home. But work is never challenged. We are working, all are working, and the traveling definitely cannot take place virtually. Traveling has to be physically. So that we are taking care of. Some of the officers like me, I'm traveling very extensively to throughout India. And now I've made the people to travel also. In fact, I took the people, I'm taking the people like it. Nothing to worry, just go with me. I'm there for you and all that. That's it.
I know that requires some courage, Mr. Ramesh, and I know that you're really leading from your own example. Kranti, I think, was writing something. What is that question? They are, or some young
Thank
person.
you.
Kranti is asking, being NDMA head, we would like to know, are there post strategies to cope up post-COVID symptoms like forgetfulness, weakness, depression?
So basically,
Yeah.
mental anxiety-related problems. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to react in this way. This is the post symptoms and all that, how to take care of all the forgetfulness and all these things and all that. I would duly submit that this is the in the field of the health professionals for that matter and health authorities. And personally, I only would like to react very clearly that I would like to motivate the people that in fact we can really get the people out of the whole thing. Please don't be in the same kind of a thing that we have a weakness and we have a forgetfulness. It's like a syndrome which is built within inside. And you're thinking, and somebody thinks like that, now you have a weakness, so you definitely have a weakness. Somebody thinks that you're forgetting, you'll definitely forget. So it's like, attraction. Law of attraction is one thing which one is very familiar of actually. So please be positive actually. Don't try to read too much into the kind of symptoms. Of course, you have to work very hard actually, extra also. Suppose you're sleeping for 6 hours and all that, which officers rarely sleep. Make it for 8 hours. I mean, if you're eating little less, make little more actually. If you're walking less, walk more. If you're exercise a little more, so you do more actually. So that kind of a coping up is required actually. But mind is most wonderful machine. Mind has to be inspired. Mind has to be told very clearly you're beyond the problem and you'll be beyond the problem. Of course, the facts are facts actually. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to show so kind of a movie for you before you that nothing's going to happen. Nothing will happen to you. No, I mean it's some anything can happen anytime and all that. But the fundamental thing is you only. You're the person. You're the doctor. I mean, you're the doctor. You have to come out of this.
Okay, Mahika Gobil, my team member, she has a question there. If you could read out, or Mahika yourself, you can come in.
Hi, so I'm Mahika, and I was asking that what can young students like me and people at my stage, what can we do to shape our career in the services in future?
I mean, what are those tips that you'll give them? For example, if you had to give them a day, Mr. Ramesh, how would you really give to them those very exact tips? Like, let's say how to lead a particular day, or create a month goal or a year goal.
In fact, I would like to say it's like, both in physical and mental aspects for that matter. Should be physical aspect in the sense, in fact, one should not have a late night kind of a sleep and all that. Sleep properly to begin with. In fact, listen to your father and mother, and you try to sleep. I mean, by the time they say that you sleep at 10 o'clock, the doors are shut, you must sleep. Actually, don't try to be online for the next 1 hour or so and all that now, and try to in fact cheat them in terms of sleeping. Sleep is the best medicine. I tell you, sleep is the best kind of a vaccine for anyone for that matter. And get up properly and go for a little exercise kind of a thing. It doesn't matter. It's not to maintain the body. You have to maintain the mind actually. You may be looking very cute. You may be looking physically fit and all that, but the mind must be totally mess. So try to go with the nature actually. In fact, thanks to COVID during the lockdown, you could hear the birds also outside. I mean, the cities like in Bombay and cities like in this Delhi and all this, you could hear the birds. So, and after that, now try to understand what you are up to actually, what exactly you want to do. Are you really, in fact, your parents are the best teacher. Actually, the parents can understand, mother is one only can understand better. If she says that, mother and father, this career is good for you, and you can work for that. Sometimes it becomes too innocent to select too many things. There's so many options are there for you before. But having chosen the option, and you have to be very sincere, actually, get the best kind of way, the guide for you. Who is the person, actually, you can easily find out who will be the best person through online, offline, whatever may be. In fact, try to see actually how exactly you can reach the goal, and never have that kind of feeling that you need to get into IIT only. It's a good thing. Once this thing, there are many people, in fact, who are doing much better than the people who are within IIT also. So get into that career goal actually, but you should be self-disciplined and you read passionately. I tell you one thing, mind is a multitasking machine. Even today, even now, right now, when somebody's online also, you must be thinking something else at the backyard. Maybe you need to go after this the so-called Zoom meeting. You have to meet someone, you have to make something and all that. So have that, because mind is a machine programmed for multitasking. But in fact, meditation is one thing actually which will make it a single tasking as much as possible. In fact, for youth, I advise, in fact, please start meditation. I'm not telling you from the philosophical point of view, from religious point of view, but I'm telling you it's a truth actually. I have myself when I was in IIT, I knew that actually a couple of times, and when the subject was so tough, I did go to that kind of, that's a very youth kind of a thing, right? At the age.
Okay. Okay. So in between, maybe he'll just come back and join us. What he's saying right now is that sleep on time, which I totally would also advise. I have not been the kind earlier, but today I realize the importance of sleep, because once you sleep well, your mind is fresh to adapt to things, to take in things which you need to. When you wake up feeling fresh, it's very important. I was talking to a doctor and someone said that if you prolong your hours, which is night, then you feel it's a day, and then your own whole cycle actually begins to disrupt, which is not what is advisable. So that's what Mr. Ramesh is also saying. I'm just repeating it. Meditation, he says, is very important because it gets you the focus. It gets you again a clean mind and soul, where then everything you can put inside. It's like a cupboard which is very adaptive to things that you want to put in inside, like a storage. So that is another thing which I have also learned is very important. Exercise, as he says, when your body is fit, your mind is fit. So that's another thing he's saying. That's the third tip. Also focus on what you want. If you've chosen an option, then stick to it. Be sincere towards it. Sometimes you feel, if you, as he rightly said, that you can cheat people around by saying something else, you can't cheat your own conscience and yourself. So I guess that's another thing you need to do. Is Ramesh is back? If not, then what was the question there that you can put forward and we'll ask him?
This question is from me. So, just relating to Mahika's question, what sort of philosophy should a person have if they aspire to work for the services? What are your own philosophies relating towards community, towards other people?
Okay, we're trying to get him back.
Yeah, there's some connection problem.
Okay, it keeps happening sometimes because of the network.
Yeah, that's a
So
beauty.
Claire is asking a question.
Yeah.
Can you repeat yourself?
So I was just wondering, relating to Mahika's question, what philosophy should a person have if they do aspire to work for the services, like in terms of their attitude towards community, towards other people, and what are your own philosophies relating to this?
Say it once again. I didn't get you.
Basically, what Jaya is saying, I'm sorry to interpret here, is that if you want to serve others, if you want to serve the community, what should be that attitude and philosophy to not only look at yourself, but also to serve wider to a society, to a community?
Yeah, the best philosophy starts from home only. In fact, whatever you are, in fact, to your parents, they are the living gods for you, the parents for that matter. Whatever attitude you have your parents for that matter, to begin with, give respect to them, listen to them, actually, in fact, adore them for that matter. They are the people, in fact, who are with you. And from there, in fact, you can learn so many lessons from that. In fact, most of the people work very hard, actually. They come up to this level. I think you can learn something from them, and with that kind of a thing, basic humility, in fact, that's one thing. You need to always keep one step, I would say, a little low and all that. Don't try to think that you're the best in the life, you're the best person, or maybe you're the best person who can be, you can achieve something, the best and all that. Need not be, in fact, you should not also. And have that one step, little, I would say,
The know all and
backwards.
be all. Don't be the know all and be all.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the Mr. Know-all and all that, but as I said, the so-called philosophy begins at home only. I mean, the parents are the best kind of a source of this philosophy for you. And the second is that basic humility for that matter. Humility always pays. It's a most wonderful kind of a thing, actually, which will bring smiles to you, which will give that kind of, so-called in the so-called your Facebook language or whatever language, likes and all that. No, that's all. And don't expect anything in return. Actually, do something selflessly from your side. It's very difficult to understand, very difficult to practice, but begin practicing within yourself only. I would say at the end of the whole thing, love yourself and all. That's the only thing I would say to all the people. Please love yourself. In fact, the moment you love yourself and all that, you can love any other person. That's it.
Okay, that's a very much sought after philosophy, I think, which you have said just now, Mr. Ramesh, and which is about loving yourself. Because once you love yourself, I think everyone loves you, and that's what we've come to also understand. Anybody else? Otherwise, then we'll have to
Yes,
maybe.
ma'am, I had a question.
Okay,
Uh,
go
ve-
ahead.
very good evening, sir. So you truly are an inspiration for every one of us here. And so, as you said, that we have to be disciplined, and also we are the being so I just had this question on how can we build that thing of time management in us, because if you want to make so much amount of time, and also can you
Yeah.
please share your insights while you were preparing for UPSC and everything,
Okay.
because many of us here have that same aim, so it will be really wonderful if you can share that
Yeah.
thing with us.
So
Yeah.
time
Thanks a lot.
management, secret of UPSC preparation. Two things.
In fact, the secret of UPSC that begins is that first the selection of the subject options and what are the subject you're taking for that matter. And the second thing is that you need to take identify a small desk actually. Don't try to go for a big desk for that matter. In the desk, see how many books need to come into the desk. So have a limited kind of a hardcore and very thorough kind of a books in a particular subject. And for the so-called preparation, used to have a concentration. I will tell you the difference between studying without any kind of a disturbance and studying with while in fact you have multitasking. There's a hell of a change and all that, and so much of difference. So UPSC requires in all any competitive exam doesn't require more than 8 to 10 hours of the study each day usually. And I used to spend around 10 hours maximum. One day I went for 12 hours only, but never more than I would say 10 hours, 9 to 10 hours actually. But these 10 hours, in fact, very totally dedicated to that particular subject. And that's what, when I said meditation, actually, meditation is not a word actually, which is a very philosophical kind of thing. Meditation can be done actually within yourself. Now, the moment meditation means you have to consciously observe your breath and all that. So while studying, you observe yourself and actually what exactly you're trying to understand. When you try to read a topic for that matter within the time management, try to have lots of alternatives. In fact, this examination, the only thing that is very clear is that a very open secret is subject. But the number of questions and all that, what kind of question becomes, in fact, nobody knows about that. But the question has got multiple answers and all that. In fact, they have a straight jacket answer, may not get the marks. Most of the people who take the examination of the APSC, they feel that they've done really well and all that, but they could not get through. The thing is that they require some kind of the innovative kind of things and all that. Now, that kind of inquisitiveness, actually, you need to, in fact, challenge the thing, actually. You need to give that kind of the dose of medicine, you would say, in fact, different dose of medicine for a particular question, actually. So this comes only when the sincerity begins right from the time you're trying to prepare, actually. So be religious, actually. And the fundamental thing about the whole preparation that now you must love your preparation. The result is other thing. Result will definitely come, in fact, But the moment you talk about result right in the beginning, actually, that makes the whole thing a little off the track and all that. And that's what, as I told you, in fact, the rest of the thing, that sleep is very, very, very important for the competitive examination. You need to sleep actually properly, 6 to 7 hours, 6 to 8 hours. In fact, in 6 hours is enough for that matter. You sleep properly. At that time, in fact, you need to. I would tell you, the generation right now, in fact, somebody sleeps in the night, please switch off your phones. Don't even keep in the mute also, because mute means you always worried somebody calls and all, he doesn't answer, you don't answer the phone call. And next day there'll be a big fight also between you and that person. So best thing to switch off the phone, and that the world will not collapse actually in that time, unless you're away from the home. Actually, your parents need to be in approach and all that. And that solid time of sleep is most important. From there, in fact, the whole begins. And afterwards, be very sincere, sit properly. Don't try to study on the bed and all that, trying to lie on the bed. There is a definite protocol for studying and all, definite protocol. Even for handwriting, I would say, we have to practice handwriting. So-called online thing, everything has come actually, because calligraphy is most important actually. People do have a good handwriting, but because of this all smart gadgets and all that, people in fact lost the touch of handwriting. Please write as much as possible, and when you find something very unique, please jot down immediately and go through it. After a couple of days, you'll understand it's very inspiring. I'm sure. I'm not giving the tips and all that. I'm telling the practical things actually which really happened. Even today, it happens actually. If you ask any person actually, they would always say, if you have a 100% concentration on that, and things will work it out.
Wow.
Thank you.
That answers your question, I think. Siddhi also has a question. How could you not, Siddhi, ask?
So a very good evening, sir. I
Yeah,
would
good
just
evening.
want to ask you about your greatest challenge that you faced, like during your preparation journey of UPSC, or a challenge that you face, while doing your whole career as a civil servant officer, and how did you overcome it, basically? Thank you, sir, for this
Yeah,
wonderful session.
yeah. My first challenge was, in fact, when I was preparing for the UPSC. In fact, having come from IIT, in fact, I already working also, because that's the biggest kind of asset for me. Because if I'm not working anywhere and all that, the only target of getting the IAS would create a lot of tension. So I would say, in fact, I have some kind of something to, hold on kind of a thing, or what do you call that? So I'm really working. The challenge before the getting into IAS or before getting into civil services is that your own neighbor, in fact, your own boss for that, because they keep teasing you time and day in and day out, in fact, whether you can get, because you're studying so much and all that, can you get in or not? But I only said one thing very clearly. In fact, I'm sure I'm not that really mature in that time. Now I would say I'm mature right now. But I would say very clearly with authenticity that I said, sir, it's not a question of getting through the examination. I'm enjoying the exam, the preparation. I'm learning so many things and all that. Probably, in fact, I used to say very laughingly that I can open one couple of a chai shop also outside the so-called coaching centers, because it's the thirst to learn and all that. That's really great. Actually, I took it very positively. Each topic is something exciting for me, be it anything for that matter. In fact, because having from IIT, everything, the social science itself is very interesting field and all that. The same, I'm sure same thing will apply for other people also. So that interest is there for me. That's the biggest kind of a challenge of, as I said, my boss, my neighbor, my colleagues and all that, they would always feel envy and all that. They will look for the worst result from your side. That's a jealousy factor. But anyway, I took it very casually. In fact, the day I got through, it's a pleasant surprise for me and for them also. And secondly, having gotten to the service, the biggest challenge is that he would say, in fact, how to get into the political establishment for that matter. How exactly, in fact, they always have whims and we always say they have whims and fancies, and they make undue demands and all that. But I practically felt, in fact, now I learned in my own experience actually, the politician is the person who comes from the public and all that. You're the person who come through some other kind of a medium, something you work hard and all that. You study some books and all that. You study something in common. The politician, in fact, they have to be the people actually. They have to listen to the people. They have to understand the people. So what the difference is that, in fact, I understood very clearly when I talk to them actually with the passion actually how the problem can be solved, because politician has got n number of solutions actually how we can get the work done practically. In my way, in fact, I would say it's not correct way of doing it. I would tell them actually they would understand. On the other hand, in fact, I found only I would say actually I felt very scary. My own colleagues actually who will be there in the service, because they are the permanent civil servants actually. That is where, in fact, the challenge comes much more actually rather than the political establishment. But I did take actually, and as you said, suppose if you have read the chemistry, there's a periodic table and all that. any officer who gets into the service, for that matter, you have in a compartmentalized into different groups and all that. Somebody can really, quite honest, actually, somebody is in fact a different kind of person, somebody who's not very honest, but he can't do anything and all that. So that kind of categorization is there actually, but we have a learning experience. So I personally felt that each situation, each challenge, there are so many challenges I faced actually, not only me, anyone for that matter, but each one is an opportunity for me. I learned this thing, including the so-called COVID, this thing happened. Actually, as I told you, I did travel. Actually, I did try to inspire the people. So at the end of the whole, my answer will be, learning is something the best example of the challenge as well as the solution. And I continue to learn, and I learn from all the people who are in it. Thank you.
So learning from a chai shop, I mean, that can make a headline today, is what Ramesh, you are all about. You're learning from each moment. You're learning from life. You're learning from people. You're learning from people, colleagues you work with, the establishment that you work with also. That's a very, very, I think, a great thought that is coming in on this show. Roshni has a question, but now we'll have to wrap up. So final question. Roshni,
Ma'am, I asked the question
you
about
already
that
asked.
time management and that thing.
Anybody left?
And thank you so much, sir. That was a great answer and that was really insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good session, because I think, and to all these wonderful women, my team members, please note that whatever he has said are very practical tips and something that will really help you to go ahead in life. Please follow them, and that's how we can really make this talk work also. And that's what we at Her World want to do. We are making endeavors where we are bringing about that kind of consciousness towards society, towards gender, towards social issues, and we want to make this world a better and beautiful world. And that is our endeavor through our web portal and talk shows. We need your support, all you people. Mr. Ramesh, thank you so much. You've been encouraging. That's very nice. And we have had a great show, I must say. Now the vote of thanks from Jaya.
I'll be delivering vote of thanks.
Whoever.
On behalf of the Policy Center and Gender Lab, in collaboration with Her World, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Mr. G. Ramesh for shedding light on such an important topic, that is the youth and India's future in COVID-19. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for being such a role model for students like me and for motivating us students by filling our hearts with hope and enthusiasm and encouraging us, especially with the tips regarding UPSC, which I'm sure will be really helpful for all of us here. We would also like to extend our deepest gratitude to the NDMA for their valuable and tireless work during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many thanks to Ms. Rakhi Bakshi, who is the founder and editor-in-chief of Her World, for hosting such an insightful session. Special thanks to the viewers in our audience for taking our time and joining us today and asking such interesting questions. Last but not the least, a big thank you to the team of Her World and Policy Center and Gender Lab at Miranda House for giving their 100% in making today's event a success. We hope to conduct such vibrant and interactive sessions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I thank you once again, Mr. G. Ramesh. And we would like to get more insights from you in future. We think that people like you guide us. You become our mentors for so many young people. And that is the whole thing that is creating our journey. And we are really happy and proud to walk on it together with all of you. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you.